Welcome in, I'm Artress, and in this video we're going to be going over Purple Luffy, a leader from OP09 that actually has gotten quite a lot of support since OP09 that makes it one of the best decks, if not the best deck in the format. I wouldn't say it's quite the best deck, I think it's a little extreme, but it is a strong deck regardless, and especially in OP09 with all the support it gets. If you're unfamiliar with what the leader does, he's an activate main. Once per turn, you may take the top card from your life cards to your hand. If the amount of Dawn on your field is 0 or 3 or more, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck as active. So he essentially draws cards and ramps at the same time. A great combination overall, because what this leader does is accumulate a huge hand size and play big bodies on curve. But before we go over the deck list and all the changes that it gets, please make sure to drop a like and a sub. It's free and it helps out the channel immensely. Thank you guys so much for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below. Starting off, we are running 4 of the Mr. 2 Bonclay from EBO1. This is an on-play, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active, and then when attacking, choose up to one of your opponent's characters. This character has the same base power as the chosen character for this turn. This is a great card when you are going second and maybe you've taken a hit and you don't want to use your leader ability and go too far down in life. You can use this and essentially it acts as a way to ramp up without having to take life. A lot of times people ask me, what is a good replacement for this card? And to be honest, it's really hard to replace this card, and that's one of the reasons why it's so expensive right now. A lot of cards from EBO1 just quite are, because I think there's not going to be a reprint for that, at least for quite some time. And I would say, if you're looking for a replacement for this, John Bart from, I think, one of the starter decks could be a decent replacement, although it's a little bit more expensive as far as like you pay 4 and then you have to pay 1 to ramp. Miss All Sunday kind of also ramps, but it is 1 more expensive. It's a 5 cost. And then you have Ein, but Ein is a 4 cost that doesn't have a counter on it. There's, of course, a few other cards you could add in, like Basil Hawkins. It's a 4 cost, 2000 power body. You're never going to swing with it, but the pure fact is that you do have a counter on that and you can ramp up with it. So there are a couple of like budget options for this, but for the sake of the video and ultimately just like the power of the deck list, we're running this at 4. Then I'm running 4 for Nosuke, a 2k counter that is a 5 cost 4000 power body, mostly just going to be a 2k counter that's searchable because it's a Straw Hat Crew, and that is mostly our archetype here is Straw Hat Crew, and we're able to search that out. You can use the rush effect to go for game every now and then, but there's much better cards for you to be able to do that with. We're running 3 of the Captain Kidd. The reason why we're running this is because I think it's a solid blocker. There's a fair amount of cards in the deck that do have minus cost reduction on play, and so if you have this kit established, you are able to then recur that Dawn, and having that Dawn recur and stand up is really important because then you can always threaten to play the Gum Gum Giant, which is ultimately I'd say the MVP of this deck, one of the best cards to come from OP09 for purple decks in general. We'll get to that at the end, but Eustace Captain Kidd we're running at 3. We're running 4 of the 2k Sanji. It doubles as a blocker. Really great utility here. It's great also if you are lower in Dawn than your opponent, which likely you'll never be. We're not running the 10 cost Time Walk Luffy, so we don't really have the option of doing that. So you will probably pay the 6 cost instead of 3 just outright using this, but it is a great 2k, and boy does it look good. For some of our top end, we are running 3 of the 9 cost Charlotte Linlin. With Luffy taking his life, he can go down pretty low quickly, and you don't really have other ways to recover. And this is one of the, I wouldn't say strangest, but I would say maybe, okay, maybe I'll say strangest cards to be added into purple because of the fact that this heals. So on play, Dawn -1, trash 1 card from your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life, then place up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less to the top or bottom of its owner's life face up. So it heals you and also is a great removal. The reason it's so weird is because usually healing takes place in yellow, but purple has just like this 1 card that heals itself, and it's a strong top end card that also has removal. So ultimately, I would really like this card. If it was searchable, it'd be broken in this deck, but there's ways to draw through the deck and eventually find it. You could run the 9 cost Kaido instead of this, which KOs something, but 9 cost Kaido reduces your Dawn, and then also on top of that doesn't heal you, and sometimes you do need that extra life. We're running 4 Sanji, which is a new card from OP09. I really like this card. It's an on play. You may return 1 or more of your Dawn cards from play to your Dawn deck. So just one for the instance of Purple Luffy. It has that text because I think it was made for Black Purple Luffy. But the important thing here is that it says this character gains rush for this turn, then rest up to one of your opponent's cost 6 or lower characters. This is great for going for game if they have blockers up. If you want to trade into bodies, you can rest a body and then swing into it that same turn. So Sanji has great utility on what he does. I really like him. He's a 1k counter, and he's also very good looking. So I think that's also important for the deck. Everybody in this deck is good looking, except for maybe Lin Lin. I'm sorry, Lin Lin. You don't make the cut there at least. Then we're running 4 of the 9 cost, 10,000 power Monkey D. Luffy. This one is, I think, perfect for this deck as the best top end piece because it says on play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from play to your Dawn deck, draw 1 card. That's huge. Then this character gains rush for this turn. So it's rush built into this, and then also you're able to replenish a card from hand by playing this out. I think it's got everything you need for this deck, and if you could run more of this, I would, because gosh, this card is so good. Then we're running 4 Usohachi. I'd say this is also a really strong card as well, and it came from starter deck 18. It's a 2k counter that says on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. This will often be used to go for game. It's a cheap way to rest a blocker and then bypass and just swing into face. So I like this card at 4 of. It's a searchable 2k, and by searchable, we do only have like 4 searchers in this deck. And that's fine. We could be running the 1 cost Law, which searches out Straw Hat Crew, but I'm not. I decided to cut that instead for other cards. So when I say searchable, we'll get to the searcher in a second, but all of our searches are going to be for Straw Hat Crew. Then we have Onami at 4 of. It's another new card from starter deck 18. It's a blocker that says on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, trash 1 card from your hand, then draw 2 cards. So this is kind of like a reverse Queen, except you don't have to minus Dawn. It's not going to attack ever, really, but you are able to trash first, which I guess may not be the best thing. You want to draw first and then trash because you get more options to trash, but still, the fact that it's a small blocker and you're able to establish this down and then draw off of it is really good. And then I would argue this is probably one of the more important cards in the deck, Sangoro at 4 of. It's from starter deck 18. It says when attacking once per turn, if you have 8 or more Dawn, draw 1 card. This card is going to be a great tempo play if you are on 7 Dawn, because you're supposed to be playing your Luffy Taro on 7, which is a on-play Dawn -1, play up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type character card with a 5 cost or less from your hand. So ideally, when you play this down, then you play Sangoro with it, and they have to either get rid of this Luffy Taro, which is going to be hard because it's a 7 cost, or they have to get rid of the Sangoro, which draws you card, gets you card advantage. I am always, if I'm on the opposite side of the board, always trying to get rid of the Sangoro instead. So that means that Luffy Taro likely will survive, which is great value for the Purple Luffy player. Then we have the searcher I was talking about, which is the 4 cost Zoro Juro. It's a 4 cost 6,000 power body, so a vanilla stat line. No counter on it though, but that's fine. It says on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, then reveal up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type card and put it into your hand. Then put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is a searcher that you can actually swing with. If you notice in the game, a lot of searchers either like tap themselves and they will never be able to swing because they don't have a high enough power total. And the other searchers that you play are like 1 cost 2,000 power bodies, which you have to put Dawn on for. This Zoro Juro is able to, usually if you're going first on your second turn, you use your leader ability, go to 4 Dawn, play this out, and the following turn you have the Zoro Juro, which will be asking for a 2k from your opponent's hand. So Zoro Juro, really good card. A lot of these, as you can see, are from starter deck 18, which Purple Luffy got a lot of support from that, but also got some great support with OP09 with the 9 cost Luffy, but then also I would say that this is, and I keep saying that this is like the best card in the deck, so I guess every card is the best card in the deck, but this is probably actually the best card in the deck. It's the counter event Gum Gum Giant. It says Dawn -2, pay 1 Dawn. You may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has a Straw Hat Crew type, give up to one of your leader or characters plus 4,000 power for this battle, then draw 2 cards. So this, even though you're minusing Dawn, doesn't really matter because you're minusing 2, which will gain back the following turn. And then on top of that, it replenishes what you've just tossed. So this will toss like probably the worst card from your hand, and then you gain 2 cards back. So you're not going up in hand size, you're going net neutral because you're paying 1, you're playing this, you're getting rid of a card, so that's 2 cards, and then you gain 2 back. So that's really strong. And like I said, you're getting rid of the worst card in your hand at that point, and then you're drawing 2 from there. So yeah, this card is so good. And I think Purple Luffy is like one of the top decks in the meta right now. It does, I would say, maybe struggle a little bit. I would say it struggles slightly against Doflamingo, if Doflamingo sees like their really strong Jinbei curve and stuff like that. But I think that Luffy can kind of out-tempo Jinbei if they are able to see like the perfect purple curve, which it always happens. Like, I swear to God, everybody that plays Purple Luffy, like the Purple Luffy mains, always have it every single turn. It's insane. So this leader is really, really strong overall in OP09. And I think it's one that's very linear in gameplay, very straightforward for how you can play it, but it's good. It's good. But let's take it in the sim and see just how good it is. Belo Betty is one of these matchups that's actually really difficult for Purple Luffy. It is a very aggressive deck, and the fact that they can just pump up all of their characters by plus 3,000 is very terrifying. They can pull away with the game very quickly if I'm not careful. The Karasu is a character that we have to really watch out for because it can reduce our leader or character by minus 1,000 power, and it just makes it harder to do battle math or like counter out of stuff. This hand is kind of, it's okay. It's not bad. We are able to ramp up one and play out the Sangoro ideally. And of course, taking the 8 is non-negotiable here. We're going to have to and go down to life, a low life total pretty quickly. The Sangoro is going to put in some work though as the time goes on because we are able to draw cards and at least gain some card advantage over time. I am very thankful that we have this 9-cost Linlin because we're able to at least stem the bleeding from some point when we're able to play it eventually. And we have to make sure that we have the right target for it if we do play it. Like a Karasu would be great. The Lindbergh's not necessarily a huge threat, of course, but we do have to worry about this Lindbergh with the raise max. The Luffy Taro into the Onami play is a decent play because we at least want to make sure that like somebody sticks this next turn. I guess we could have technically done like a Sanji and rest a body and swing into it, but regardless, I think they're probably just going to use the raise max on the Sangoro and then swing Lindbergh and then KO it. They can also just like swing the Lindbergh and KO the Onami, but I don't think that's the best option here. Let's see what they do. They do have the Karasu, so this gives us a great target for the 9-cost Linlin at least. Oh, they're targeting the Luffy Taro? Double raise max. Okay, Lindbergh, that's probably a fine play as well. But the fact that our Sangoro stays alive is really nice. We can't really comfortably counter out of this. I don't want to drop 2 cards. And we'll just use the Onami to block the Lindbergh attack. This next turn, I think it's fine to swing 7. Actually, I want to change the game plan from Linlin to swinging 7 with the Sanji. I think that might be better. So we'll swing 7 Sangoro, draw a card, get more information. 7 into 5, they take it. And then we'll play this Sanji to rest the Karasu and then swing 5 into it. They'll probably counter out. And 7 into 5, they'll likely let this go. What? They're countering out of that. Wow. That actually might turn the game around right there because now we are sitting here with 8 cards in hand. They only have 2. We're 2 life, sure, but I think we're okay. Like, we're fine. We can recover very easily here. And honestly, I'm just going to take this one because I can heal up. I can play the Linlin, put the Nico Robin into life, get rid of this Karasu, and then once everything, like the board is clear, we're pretty comfortable to just like start swinging into life. I think it's fine to dump the Zorojuro because we're not really going to get value out of it. We'll swing Sangoro, draw a card. We have a lot of Luffy Taros, or sorry, Luffy's, the 9-cost, which it's not the greatest in this matchup, but I guess if we really need to pressure for like a last big swing for game, it's not awful. Of course, they get a Kuma out of life. I mean, geez, it's always a trigger body, I swear. They have potential to really push us here, though. We don't have a way to heal up after this, and granted, we do have a couple of blockers, so it might be worth just playing out the Onami into the Kid, filtering out our hand, and just being really safe. This turn, I don't know exactly what they might swing here, but they did play out a couple bodies, which I guess it's fine for them. Easy counter out here, and then they might just go 6 with the Kuma. And if that's the case, we'll have to give them the Uso Hachi, which sucks because like I want to use this as a way to rest the Karasu, but I think it's fine. And just to be safe here, let's swing our leader into the Kuma, just to clear the body, just to be safe. I think it's fine. We could pressure game, but I think let's see if they let this go, and then we'll swing Sangoro. They take this, then we'll just keep going and see what they give us or not. Do they block this one? Okay, they block this one. That's fine. That makes sense. Because I could be threatening like the 10 cost Time Walk Luffy. And if that's the case, they would just definitely lose easily. We'll play the Onami, pitch a 9 cost, and wow, we got a 1k and a 2k. We also have a Gum Gum Giant as a way to stay alive. We're looking really healthy here. We recovered very well. I think the fact that they pitched 2 cards to keep their Karasu alive might have been a little bit of an issue here. And if I were them, I would just pressure face really hard. But with 1 life, 2 blockers, and like a whole slew of counter, unfortunately, I can just tell you right now, they're not going to be able to get through. So let's see what they do. Oh, they decided to go for a body instead. I think at this point in the game, because, you know, this is like technically the last play, I don't think swinging at a body really matters. Clearing this Sangoro is not going to do anything for them. Maybe they're just doing it as like a moral victory. But yeah, swinging face would be the better thing to do here. Ultimately, though, like I said, I had all of the counter in the world, so it didn't really matter. Yeah, and as you can see, we clearly had it with all the bodies that we have. So, ooh, Katakuri is an interesting one. I feel like in previous sets, Katakuri was a leader that had a great advantage against Purple Luffy. The 7 cost Big Mom is a real menace. The fact that it has like a really good stat line, and as Purple Luffy, I'm always going to be healing them for the most part, because I don't want to take my resources or lose resources as a result of like trashing a life. Because my life ramps me, but it also keeps me alive. So this could be a rough matchup, but I think nowadays, with as much tempo as the Luffy gets, with like the 7 cost bodies, dropping 2 bodies a turn, I think we actually probably have a little bit of an advantage nowadays. But regardless, that's enough about this. We will get back into the game here. It's very easy to be able to counter out of this one. This Sanji needs to go, though, so I'm going to attack into the Sanji, get rid of it, and then I'll swing Zorojuro into Katakuri. And, of course, I'll play out the Luffy Taro into another Zorojuro. Actually, you know what? Let's play out the Luffy Taro into a Sangoro so that we can at least get our draw engine online. This next turn, I would imagine, though, this Sangoro is a very juicy target for a Nami to be able to KO it. I don't expect this to survive a turn. If it does, I'm going to be extremely happy with that. But we'll see what they do. They could probably play a Nami down, KO the Sangoro, and then swing 7 into the Zorojuro, which if that's the case, we always protect it. Lin 6 cost. What? This is such an interesting card. I like it. I do like this addition here, but I'm going to just trash 2 cards from hand, a Zorojuro and a Mr. Tubanclay. And then this next turn, I think we just pressure face. We'll go 6. We'll swing with the bodies that might be KO'd with triggers first. Man, that Lin threw me off. I was expecting a Nami. Wow, I'm actually happy that this Sangoro survived. Being able to draw off of it is huge in this matchup. Card advantage is everything. We'll go 6. They counter out. Another 6. They counter out. 5. They'll probably counter out. If they counter out of the 6s, I imagine they'll counter out of this too. And then 8 is really hard for them to counter out of, so they'll probably take this one. Hopefully no trigger. It looks like they have a trigger. Oh, God. What is it? Oh, it's a cracker. That's not too bad. Keep in mind, they pitched 2 8-cost Katakuris, which means they probably have some really good stuff in hand if that's the case. But, of course, I'm going to play out the tempo-based play with the Luffy Taro into the Zorojuro. Having 2 bodies in a turn is immaculate. It's really hard for them to deal with this much pressure. I think we are able to, with 2, or I guess 3 cards in hand at this point, be able to pitch or have them pitch enough cards to where we can just probably pull ahead and actually maybe close out the game this next turn. So they play out this Katakuri down and showing that they have a cracker in the top of life. We're not scared of it because if they play this out from a trigger, that means they go -1 in hand. And we already know that they have a cracker in hand from the pudding search. So we kind of can scope out what they have here. And this might be a turn where they go for bodies. If I were them, I would start attacking bodies hard because I don't think they can stand as much pressure that's going to be coming to them this next turn. So 7 into 6 will counter out with a 2K. Another 7 into 6 will counter out with another 2K. And then finally, probably another 7 into 6. And we'll counter out with another 2K. Unfortunately, we have to get rid of the Usohachi there. But it's part of it. Like, we need to make sure that these bodies stick. We'll swing 5 into 5. Let's see what they do here. They might just counter out because it's a free counter. We know that they have the cracker, so it's easy for them to do. Instead of establishing this Linlin, I think I just want to keep poking them and see what they give me. If they counter out of this one, I say we just turn our attention to the board. Yeah, we're just going to go for board now and clear this thing out. There's not much they can do. This is their whole board's going to be gone. Wow, they just they blocked with the Katakuri. If I were them, I actually would have kept the Katakuri just as an additional blocker, because maybe in this situation, who knows, maybe they could pressure really hard with this pudding, Katakuri, and then the leader. To be fair, though, I do have counter to be able to get out of them. So it's not like they actually could, but in their mind, like, they're closing that option out. So let's be really cheeky and make sure that we get rid of this pudding off the field, because I don't want them to like stack Dawn on it and try to push hard with it. We'll heal up and then rip the life to be able to get the 1 and use the Gum Gum Giant if they decide to go for a body here. But this could also be a Linlin play, a 10-cost Linlin. I don't even think the 10-cost Linlin helps them here, though. I think they're probably doomed either way. So yeah, this looks like they're just going to go really hard. Probably 12. Is that 12? Yeah, 12 into maybe an 8, which we can protect. That's how powerful Giant is. We're able to keep a similar hand size and protect a unit. So good. Such a good card. Yep, and we draw into a 1K, so we'll just use that. And then now we can just poke them down. Oh, we can poke them down even easier. All right, let's swing 7. I think it's fine to go ahead and swing 7 first. Draw a card, get more information. This is a guaranteed hit. We'll swing another 7. This will likely go through as well. And we know the bottom life is not 0-cost event, so we don't have to worry about any shenanigans there. They're just countering out. Okay, well, let's swing 5, guaranteed hit. 8's a guaranteed hit. And then, of course, we can just to be cheeky, let's use our leader ability. You should always use leader ability when going for game. And then stack all on the Linlin and swing in. So yeah, this game, I don't think the 10-cost Linlin would have mattered as much. I think that their build was actually not too bad. As you can see, they have a lot of triggers here. The Parasparrow, the Smoothie. If they saw more triggers, maybe they would have had a better shot. Shanks is a matchup that we should have a pretty strong advantage against. As long as we see our curve, we should be okay. Now, we do have one piece of the curve with the, I said one piece, Zorojuro. Here, we just use our leader ability. We're just going to see if they're awake. Let's swing 5 into 5. Of course, this will always be used like the leader ability on us. Maybe they want to take your life, but I guess not this time. We will play out the Zorojuro and find, I guess a 2K is fine. I was hoping for a Zoro, or a Luffy Taro, rather. We already have a Sanji, so we don't need a second one. I think the 2K is fine to just be able to, like, kind of defense ourselves up later on. We might need that 2K. Here, I think it's fine to actually just give them the 2K that they know about, because I do want to keep the Sanji as a potential 7-cost play. And I think it's actually our best play here. So let's go ahead and play out the, use our leader ability first, play out the Sanji. We'll rest the Lucky Root. I'm not going to attack into it. I'm just going to attack into face. So this will be, okay, are you going to use your leader ability here? Likely you will. And then we'll swing Zorojuro, so that requires a 2K. And then the Sanji hit will likely go through. 6 into 5. I imagine they'll give us a 2K here. But they just, what? They just take it? Okay. They might be bricked up. I mean, Sanji's... It's not too far-fetched to see them have like 10 cards in hand and 2 of them have counter. So it's part of being Shanks sometimes. This next turn, what can they play on for 6? Yasop. Okay, so they're playing more of the Red Hair Pirates build, which I think actually does better into Luffy, because there's a lot more removal-based stuff within it. There's a lot of power reduction and removal based off of that. So let's swing Zorojuro first, so that either they use their leader ability or they get the Lucky Root out of the way. And then we'll swing this Sanji. They might block. They might just give us a 2K. I'm not quite sure what their best play is here. Regardless, we're going to use our leader ability, ramp up 1, and then play the 9-cost Luffy. Draw 1, and then we'll swing 10 into 6. Really clean number here to counter out, for us to at least swing into. It's hard for them to counter out of that. This next turn, they're on 8. And they have this 10 cost that they have to, or 9 cost that they have to deal with. 10,000 power bodies, really difficult for them. But they do have a Yasop to reduce the power of it. And, oh, they're opting to not play a Rayleigh, which is fine. I don't know what they could do for 7, though. Let's see what they have. Yasop's just going to swing 9 into 6, which I think we just keep this alive, because it's going to be hard for them to swing into it with their leader. We could probably drop the Sangoro here as a way to keep this Sanji alive. They leave 4 up. Interesting. Could that be double Red Hawk? Either way, I think we swing first just to be safe. Because my plan here is to go 7-cost Luffy Taro into the Onami. I want the Onami as a way to protect ourselves against the 10 drop that will be inevitable. Oh, so it's guard point. I like guard point. Guard point's really good in Shanks. That's it's nice to see that they have that tech there. Could this be another guard point? Could it just be 4 guard points? It is not. Okay, so they guard point. They use the leader ability here. And what do they have? They have, what could they have? I mean, keeping themselves at 2 is pretty good. Okay, Red Hawk 1K, cool. I think it's probably smart for them to keep themselves at 1. And I think it's okay to pitch this Gum Gum Giant because, well, we don't need 2 of them. And we're only going to be able to play 1 anyway. We might have saved it for like the following turn, but we weren't punished because we have the Zorojuro to be able to pitch off of the Gum Gum Giant. So, oh, wow. KO Shanks is actually a really clean answer to the 9-cost Luffy. So that's actually a really strong play from them. I'm going to give them a 2K here because I think our strongest play next turn is to actually play this 7-cost Sanji. Unless we get a better card. We can find a better card right now with the Gum Gum Giant. Might be a little bit excessive to do that, but we did get a 9-cost Luffy, which will be our next play here. So we'll swing 5, ask for the leader ability, swing 7. 7's a hard one, like 2 and a 1. Okay, so they give us a 0-cost event. 8 will likely go through. And then we have the 9. I don't know if I want to get them to 0 though, because what if they have a Roger? If we get them to 0 and they play Roger, we are actually in some trouble. So it might be better to just go like the 9-cost Luffy into the Yasop and clear the Yasop. Yeah, if we get them to 0, we could be in some trouble. So I think that's probably our best bet. If they play a Roger here, we actually have some cushioning to be able to use an Onami at some point in time. We'll find out with what they do with their swings here. If they swing 5, yeah, this might be a Gold D Roger. We'll take it though because we can use our Onami before we get to 0 with this 10-cost Shanks. They also might have just the Rush Shanks, which could be a good option for them to play. Yep, they do have the Rush Shanks. We will see where they swing. 12 and a 9. I do have the counter here, so I'm just going to go ahead and counter out. I mean, it might have been better to just block first and then have them swing in, but it's the same thing. One of them's just slightly ruder. We'll swing 11. Let's swing 11 with our Luffy first and see what happens here. I think 11 here, if it connects, we'll go all the rest on Luffy Taro. Unless they have like some crazy trigger. I mean, they might. It could be Last Life Red Hawk. Oh my god. It was. All right, so how do we do this? We want to swing 8 with our leader because that means they have to use leader ability plus also give us 2 cards out of hand. And then we can put the rest on the Sanji. And if they use 2 cards to get out of this, they only have 3 left, which means that the 3 would not be able to get out of an 11. So this is guaranteed lethal. Man, that Red Hawk trigger was actually pretty clutch there. That's pretty cool. But regardless, this is a matchup that should be advantageous for us, even if they are running the Red Hair Pirates package. That does do a little bit better against us, but I think that Purple Luffy is just good against Shanks. Ooh, Red Purple Kid. I'm telling you, this deck is insane. I don't think enough people are playing it. I don't think it's on anybody's radar. I actually feel like this could be a deck that could surprise some people. I keep saying it. I haven't shown a deck list yet. Maybe I will eventually, but it's something that I'm working on. This is a leader that they just have all of the good stuff. All of the red good stuff, all of the purple good stuff. They have interesting support that they got from OP09 with like a restand killer, I think. So anyway, regardless, enough glazing this leader. We're going to get back to the gameplay here. I didn't have a really good play, so playing the Bond Clay is better here because I didn't have anything else to do. They were able to play out the Kid, the blocker. We're going to try to bypass it first. Let's swing 5 and show them that we're not afraid to swing at life. They might just counter out here. So yeah, they do. We'll then turn our attention to this blocker here because I think it's better to like get the first counter out of the way and then get as many cards out of their hand as possible. As you can see, they're running good red stuff with the Beckman as counter. And then we'll swing 8 into 6. This one, they give us 2 cards here. They lost 4 cards in that turn. So that actually is huge for us because that turns the tides usually what ends up happening is Kid takes like a lot of life, and then they have these big bodies, and then you have to like be pressured to go for game, and then they have all of the counter in the world. So them getting rid of a lot of cards there that early is good for us, but playing that 7-cost Kid is also really good for them. That's actually one of the best things they can do. I'm gonna swing 5 here. Oh, I forgot. I just talked about the Kid. They're up to 6. That's my fault there. Slight misplay, but it's okay. We'll go 7 to 6, 10 to 6. They take it. They go down to 2. Here is a really awkward spot where what do? Do they go for my board or do they go for my face? There's a very real world where they could pressure me and actually potentially go for game. And the way that they do that is they might have to swing all out with everything they have. They also might just like play down something. Okay, they're not going to do that. They're going to go Otama, Rayleigh, and then maybe swing into these bodies. Actually, this is going to be really hard for me to defend. I could defend this 8 to 5, but it drops 3 cards from my hand, and then they might do it again and also swing Kid as well. I think I just let it go. I think I have to let this Sanji go as well, which is rather unfortunate. We just lost our board, but I think it's fine to keep our hand size and lose the board if that's the case, because we can just rebuild with this 10 cost, or I keep saying 10 cost, 9 cost Luffy. It's a 10k power, so that's why I keep saying 10, but that's really good pressure for them. Oof. What do they do here? They're 6 cards in hand. I'm at 3 life, but I have a lot of counter. I don't know if like they can really pressure hard here. Let's see what they do. They could like start off with a 9. I don't know if like 8's an easy counter out for me. So 9's a little bit more awkward. So I guess we'll just take this first 9 and see what else they do. Do they go another 9? I think they're going for lethal, folks. 9, 9. If they have the restand killer, it's a 5 cost, so they put 4 on. Their leader's at 6, they go 10. They use their leader ability, they go to 12. They restand, and then they swing 14. Do I have enough? I think I do. Yeah, I have enough. But oh my gosh, it's a close one. This is what I'm talking about. This leader could just pop off out of nowhere. Yeah, there's the killer that restands. Oh my god, this is insane. This is what I'm talking about. This leader is amazing. Holy moly. If I were them, I might even swing the Kid, but I mean, I had the 2k to be able to do it. So regardless, I think the Usohachi here, we have to just go for game. Let's just swing 10 into 6. If this connects, I think we might have game. Oh my god, I think we have game. Okay, 10 and then 12. Do we have it? I was so nervous. Okay, yeah, and they had the Roger to back it up with. Oh my gosh, yeah. See what I mean? Like this leader, it just like pops off out of nowhere. The Dawn -1, choose one leader with Kid Pirates type and then activate it. That's insane. Wow. All right, Battle of the Purple Luffys here. I don't know which one's going to be better overall. I actually think Purple Black Luffy is a very strong leader, but I gotta say, this Purple Luffy, just the mono 5 color, it's like, it just feels so powerful overall. But we'll see. This will be a good test to see which one comes out on top. Secretly, I hope the Purple Black Luffy wins this. We'll swing out with 5. They take it. And then the Bond Clay is our best play here because I don't want to just play a blocker for no value. Being able to ramp up with the Bond Clay is better. And of course, Purple Black Luffy is going to be doing Purple Black Luffy stuff, playing out the Zoro to hyper ramp up, probably swinging 8, which I'm not going to drop 4 cards for this. We'll just let it go if they do. Yeah, we'll just let it go. Getting that Linlin's pretty huge because now we can feel comfortable going down to low life totals. I think our best play here is actually just to play the Sanji out, rest the Zoro, and then swing 5 into it and see if they give us a counter. Ideally, they probably would. If they don't, we'll follow up with the Bond Clay and then the Sanji. And then we'll just swing Sanji 7 into 5. They'll likely give us this. This next turn, they are going to be at 6 Dawn. Their best play could be like the KO Sanji. Oh, they just hyper ramp up back again with the Zoro again. What do they have? 6 Dawn to play with. Is this where they just go huge? No, they just swing 5. Counter out. Easy counter here. Brook. Wow. This is Dawn -2. Give up to 2 characters, -2,000 power when attacking. Thankfully, we have a 9-cost Linlin to put that back in life. And we will take advantage, before we put it back into life, we will take advantage of this being on the field because we'll swing 7 with the Bond Clay and then we'll swing 7 with the Sanji. This is going to be hard for them because they have to counter out of at least one of these to guarantee that they aren't going to be hit with a 9-cost rush unit this turn. Because I could play it, but I'm not. I'm going to heal up And then I'm going to put the Brook into life. We'll toss out the Luffy Taro, put the Brook into life, and I think it's fine to actually just take a life, so we just essentially drew a card there. I want to have the one open because if they decide to go really big at the Sanji, I have the Gum Gum Giant to protect it. I think that's important there. But this is also probably a pretty important turn for them. Being on 10 Dawn, I could see maybe a like Desperation Time Walk Luffy come down if they're running it. I don't know if they have any good Moria plays. So yeah, their Moria play is nothing really. It's just the Zoro. 5 and a 1. Yeah, that goes every day of the week. I don't think I'd protect this. I mean, I could. I actually could protect it, but I don't think it's worth it. And then here they... what do they do? They might go like 7. They could also establish some blockers. Zoro Juro. Oh, they're going more like... I guess it makes sense. They're going more of the Straw Hat Crew version of it, where they just play a bunch of like good purple Straw Hat Crew stuff. Have starter deck 18 support. This new Chopper where it at the end of the turn you return, I think, 1 or more Dawn to your Dawn deck, and then it like restands and also becomes a blocker. They just swing 5, easy restand. I think that they have the Gum Gum Giant. That's what they're at least showing that they have. So now that Chopper becomes a blocker, but we have, at least for the next 3 turns, our plays kind of mapped out with the 9-cost Rush Luffy. We'll go 5 into 5, free block for them. 7 into 5, they'll probably let this go. And then if we go 9 into 6, that's an easy giant. Yeah, easy giant there. They pitched the Moria, so they did have a Moria, but yeah, like I said, no good Moria play for them to have. And then 10 into 6, they'll probably let this one go, I would imagine. Well, they do have 1 open, so they could go another giant, but they go -4 Dawn in a single turn. Yeah, that's... I don't know if that's the best play for them, but hey, you do you. If this is your best play, go for it. But it leaves them at 8 Dawn, so at least we don't have to worry about Time Walk Luffy. That's always a threat against this deck. They could be swinging like 7s. They could go like 7 with the Zoro Juro. Or they might just try to go for board. Like maybe clear out the Sanji would be their best bet. I don't think they can swing up into the Lin Lin or the 9-cost Luffy. So yeah, I think that also they don't really have good Moria plays either. They do have like a Zoro Juro that they could grab and like search something out, but Moria at that point is just getting an extra card in hand. Not really great. Frankie's a good establishing blocker though, because this will allow them to block, and then the following turn they could play a Moria, bring the Frankie back out. 6 at 5. Ooh, I think we just counter out. I think that's just an easy counter. What else could they do? Maybe another 6? Honestly, 7s would be a little bit better. Unless they are planning on playing something else. We'll find out. Five cards in hand, 2 life. We actually are looking really strong here. I think we follow up with another Luffy. It's a pretty easy play for us. We have a pretty stacked hand. But these last few turns, like this is probably one of the more pivotal turns as well. These last few turns, like the first couple turns of the game go by so fast. And then you get to like the end game, where it's like, you know, these turns take like 5-6 minutes a piece. I'm exaggerating a bit, but you know, we got to a spot where it's like, yeah, we were definitely having to sit in the think tank a little too hard. Okay, so just a second, Frankie. I guess that's fine. And then they will use their Chopper ability, I assume, to restand. Now here's one where I think it's important to, can we survive a Time Walk Luffy if it ever comes down? I think it's better to just go for the board here and let's see if they have like counter to give us, or maybe they just get rid of the blockers. Wow, they have so much counter. That's actually insane. This could be just an easy block, and I don't want to go ahead. I think it doesn't matter what we do here, if we swing 5 or if we swing 10. So we'll just go ahead and swing 5 first. They take it, and then we'll swing 10 at 6. They'll probably block this one as well. Yeah, that's the best play I would imagine. And here, it's really rough because, like, if I were them, I would feel obligated to go for game. Maybe like swing 7 at face, see what I do. And then they could go 7, 8, 9. The problem here, though, is that I have the counter. So no matter what, I think it's kind of futile. Like, it's like if they go for board, it's an easy counter. If they go for game, a little bit harder. I have to work for it, but I still have it. So 9? What is this? Looks like they might be going board. Yeah, wow, board. Okay, easy. We just use our giant to filter out our hand and then draw. Oh my god, more counter. This is why giant's so OP. Just being able to pitch the dead card in your hand and then gain counter out of it is amazing. They go 10 here. I can counter out easily with the cards that we drew from the giant. That's insane. Yeah, we have a game here. There's no way that they are able to survive everything that we have coming their way. How do we start this off? Just 5, a cheeky 5, I suppose, because we have options. Yeah, that free block. What? That was insane. Okay, I think that was just them conceding. There's no way that they survive all of this onslaught of everything that's coming their way. Oh, maybe. I'm kidding. Let's show them what's up. Let's give them another Luffy. Okay, that might be a little bit BM, but we want to throw out as many Luffys as we possibly can. Yeah, then 11 to face. That's GG. Yep. So, I mean, I guess that if you just drop a bunch of 9-cost rush Luffys, you're a pretty good deck. This deck is actually really strong. I am impressed with just how much power is behind every card that you play. Every card has like some kind of purpose, either gets you card advantage or it can keep you alive longer. The Gum Gum Giant is just an absolute monstrosity in this deck, being able to protect your units very easily by just minusing 1 Dawn, and then you don't even go really down in card size, or hand size rather. You're able to just like refill that, and if you need to pitch cards further, you can. This deck is just so strong. I think that the only issues it might have would be against like Doflamingo if they do get their good curve, like I said at the beginning of the video. Otherwise, Purple Luffy, for me, is like an S tier deck. I think it's a deck that you could easily take to like a Treasure Cup or a regional. It's consistent. It has a very linear game plan. And I think at these big tournaments, just consistency is key. The fact that it has ways to heal itself, sustain itself, draw cards, get big bodies out on the field, have huge tempo plays. If you're looking for a deck that just does it all, I mean, Purple Luffy is that deck for you. So ultimately, I think this deck belongs in the S tier. I think I might have put it in there in my tier list video at the beginning of the set. I can't quite remember where I placed it. I think it's an S tier, but if it's not an S tier, what was I thinking? This deck is definitely an S tier deck in my opinion. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.